Hey guys, this is Turok, and in this video I'll be reviewing One Piece chapter 1151. So wait, what happened last time? So I have to go back a little bit. So we are in some weird area now with the One Piece. So in the last chapter we're getting some idea of an interesting power that Eames can exude. And I was thinking about this as I reread the last two chapters, and I'm thinking it's something to do with. I think I kind of said this already too, but I'm doing that again. The last chapter. I'm imagining this is something to do with similar to a. Well, how it hasn't been explained yet. Oda's just having Eam. Eam is just doing this now, and we don't fully understand what I'm getting at is whether or not this is something like an awakening power, because I don't think I explained this in the other chapter. I don't think for now, because I'm really like thinking about it now. But the the way that Eamon's doing this reminds me of an awakened devil fruit user, where the perimeter around the devil fruit user can be exuded with their ability to. So far, how we've really seen this was with. So we assume this first with. This is going back retro before we knew it, but once we learned about Devil Fruit Awakenings from Doflamingo, we had started assuming that probably actually I have to bring it up too. We started thinking about Aokiji and Kainu and their duel on Punk Hazard, and how they likely can do awakening and then make everything either lava or ice around them. And so we saw, so the confirmed versions of these we have right now are only, I think it's only Doflamingo, Katakuri, and Luffy. And so Doflamingo did it in Dressrosa. He'd start turning everything into strings, and then he was able to bring those 16 holy bullets, I think he called them, and he was bringing string, a huge tornado, I was going to say, kind of things of strings out of the ground, like just boom, boom, up. Because Luffy with his, he was levitating there using his, the way he can do that with Gear 4 to with Bounce Man. And actually, I was thinking about that too. Can Luffy only do that really with Bounce Man? And Bounce Man, he has his legs really small, and he's learned to contract his muscles and then make it like a little pop pop. And he's like, when he's in Snake Man, his form is better proportioned, where in Bounce Man he's like made his torso huge and his arms beefy so he can like get those big punches in. But then his legs, even though they're small, between that and like his arms, he was able to use it to fly around, and he, like I said, he was levitating. Anyways, so Doflamingo was doing that like that, and then Katakuri, he's got mochi fruit, which most of Big Mom users, well, pretty much all of them, is food related. Well, there's also oven, which that's why I say most. Most of them are food related, and so his was awakened, and he was turning the floor and stuff into mochi, and combined with his advanced observation haki, he was very intimidating. And then Luffy, with once he awakened his well, first we found out. So we kind of, once we learned about Awakening 2, we realized that Luffy probably would turn stuff into rubber. We just didn't understand he was a zone. He changed. Oda changed that. Maybe had that from the beginning. Really, it feels like a retcon, but maybe not. I hesitate to even call that really a retcon, because I know there was somewhere where like Oda had said that he he had intended this to always be he intended the story to be something he thought he could get published and draw and everything over like 5 years. And obviously now we're we're really close. I think we're in that'll be 28 years now. This year marks 28 years he's been publishing it. And anyway, so I imagine that he had the basics of this, and then he's just like more like made elaborations. Maybe he didn't like intend Luffy to be technically a god. I don't know how much he would have added. I think like he could have added that one, but I'm sorry. All of this is to be said is that what Eam is doing here reminds me of that. Like he's creating the area into some realm, this thing, and then everyone he's pulling into it is being turned into his subordinates that are like his the difference. The one thing I know I did say is like I'm noticing this is definitely different from the God's Knights or the Gorosei, in that these people, the giants who are so far the ones that we see being turned into his subordinates through this ability, are doing his bidding, like when he says to him, and they have no inability to stop that. The God's Knights and the others, obviously, they're under Eam's command, but they could choose not to do something, but you can see that they're afraid to. They have a limited agency, I guess you'd call that, where these other ones are like totally under like a more like a hypnosis or something like that. And so so it's very interesting here to figure out, try to ponder what is Eam's ability here. And obviously too, I looked it up because I recognized the board thing afterward. He's doing a thing. Oda is incorporating a Japanese board game called I think it's called Go, right? One sec. Apparently the game is invented in China, but I think it became very popular in Japan. And I've seen that played there, right, and stuff. I've watched movies and stuff from Japan, and I remember this particularly now from watching in the live action. Vice Admiral Garp was talking with seeing how well Kobe could play the game. He was they had that moment. They created some moments there that were different, where he's so Garp's pursuing Luffy, and so he brought Hamepo, Kobe, and some other recruits on his ship and while he's pursuing Luffy, and they were showing how Garp sees the potential of Kobe to be the next generation of the tip of the spear of the Marines, and so he had him playing a game of Go. They played multiple games of Go, and he was criticizing or critiquing would be a better way. It's not being of how Kobe, you can be more aggressive like that and stuff, and Kobe finally beat him at one point, and I think that was like in the second episode they show that, yeah, and so anyways, the Go thing is very apparent here now. I didn't notice that. Well, I don't think they really showed that right. They just showed the flipping, yeah. They show the flipping part here, and that's where we finally understood how this is technically partially working here. What's going on? And so, anyways, let's get into this. What's going on? Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, last thing I want to say on that actually though is it's very interesting in how area effect stuff. How Oda's portraying that here. And I was thinking about this too with Haki. I was rewatching that episode where Whitebeard and Shanks talked together right at the end of Enies Lobby. And when Shanks came on the ship, he's exuding Conqueror's Haki, and it knocked out all the people who are new on the ship, and they're not used to even blocking that kind of attack on themselves. So we have people like we had like Marco and the other guy, was it Juzo? As far as we know, they don't have any Conqueror's Haki, but they can like train themselves to not be knocked out by it. And then the main thing we always understood about that too, the way it was like portrayed too, is that it often comes down to like people who are weak-willed are often the ones who can be knocked out easily by Conqueror's haki. So anyways, yeah, Shanks exuded it really far on Whitebeard's ship and was knocking people out. Once Luffy was learning how to use it, he saw him knock out those fake Straw Hats too. So I'm bringing haki up again mostly because I'm wondering if users with strong haki can block this ability. And that's hopefully what the next chapters are going to show. Yeah, unfortunately we don't. I think still that, yeah, Dory Bragi, even though they're such these mighty warriors and they're held in such high esteem and stuff, and that's why everyone's confused here. You see that they're subordinates, like, well, how can that happen? I think no matter, even if something like what's going on here is even with someone like them who have such power, they talk about the warrior's pride and stuff. This power without like good haki to defend yourself could force you to become another's slave, essentially, or subordinate. Anyway, so yeah, let me get into this now. So, actually, we do get one more chapter cover. I don't know how much this will continue. I thought it was kind of at the end, but we have Yamato going to perform in a sumo contest, and she facing off against the brother of that douchebag we saw in Wano initially, who wanted to marry. He was interested in the one I forget her name, the one of the scabbards who's there, the tall one with the sword, and she and Luffy ended up dueling that guy in the contest and winning, and this guy's big brother is facing off against Yamato, and she defeats him very easily. I don't think I'm wondering here too. This made me just think that not many people probably realize that that Kaido had a child, has a daughter, and so this is all going to throw them off. Like, wait a minute, who's this person that's coming out of nowhere? At this point, before this, I suspect that I bet it was really just like Kaido and all of his subordinates who knew about her, and not many others did. So she's going to be causing quite the stir among Wano. And also, it looks like who was that? Kumatsu? Is that his name? The Kappa guy is there too, watching the match. Anyways, that's cute that she's having fun there and being accepted by the community of Wano. But I'm gonna get into this now. Okay, so where am I? So we start off with is this the right one? Yeah. So we have, what's his name again? Oh crap! I forgot to pull up their name. I tried looking up Dory Bragi lieutenants, but it doesn't do that. You gotta remember their names. It's Kashi and Oimo. So they're the two that were at Enies Lobby, and they are here. That was the thing too. I'm still wondering if they were able to convince Dory and Bragi to stop their duel, or if Shanks had to step in. I feel like Shanks would have had to say, like, guys, cut it out. This isn't worth it. That's my opinion on it, because I think their duel, like that, the honor over that kind of stuff is just dumb. I understand the honor of doing the right thing, the other stuff that goes with that, but when that duel part was like, you spent nearly a third of your life on a duel because you couldn't. A little girl a human girl who's probably not with us anymore, said, "Oh, which one's bigger?" Anyways, so it's what's his name again? This is Kashi. Kashi's still there, and he's one of the few standing up in front of Dory and Bragi, trying to say, wait a minute. Yeah, sorry. He's trying to say to them, guys, he's trying to still like reason with Dory and Bragi, and there are others now like got transformed, as we saw there, into these demon forms. And he's like, what are you doing? You can't go kill Chief Jarl, because they're going to be, so that quick reminder, the Eames going to put gonna put them in charge as his of this new province, essentially. That's what I'm gonna call it. Eames turning everything into his own province, like everything's under his purview, and there's something in here too. I think they bring up where you can tell Eames got this imperialistic empire building thing where he thinks, oh, this is all mine, everything, and now I'll have the greatest group of warriors, which was funny too. I was thinking about quickly. I was watching rewatching a bit of the Punk Hazard part, and I was watching how Law explained how the government's been trying to make their own army of giants for a while. That's what one of the things Caesar was doing. Although I thought Caesar was doing it more for, he probably would have done it anyways, but I thought Caesar would contracted with Big Mom to do that initially and try to do that to the children. But did he have, I'm wondering if the Gorosei come to him also? I have to look into that now, because I know Big Mom wanted to have that. She was funding him, but he might have been getting funded by the Gorosei to do it as well. I'll have to look back into that. That'd be interesting. Now this is because, and that's probably that probably had to do with the fact that they couldn't get the Giants to be under their control 20 years ago, because there was something with Harold where he didn't seal the deal with making them a subordinate or a auxiliary force to the world government. Anyways, so it goes here. Which one is this again? Yeah, Kashi. Kashi's going on, still trying to reason with him, and he's got a couple other giants just standing with him, and they're like, "What do we?" You can see some of them like, "What do we do? This is getting out of hand." And Bragi starts speaking to him and says, so you can see this is where they've kind of turned to, they got that going over to the dark side thing where they're not sympathetic anymore. They're cold and the power's flowing through them. And he's going on saying, Bragi is, that man, Jarl, he was that warrior we admire. He's just an old, feeble person now. It's time to get him out of the way and let us take the stage. What do you call it? Front stage, basically. Yeah, and Dori connects to that conversation, saying, "Yeah, then we will be the kings of Elbath now. There's no need for the god of Elbath." And then he's going this darkness thing is kind of turning him, saying like, we'll go back to an age of war and build an empire. We're ruthless and we don't play nice for other nations. You listen to us or else. It's that very like imperialistic. It's a very like it reminds me of the Roman Empire, or even Rome before it was an empire. If you look back, they were like that beforehand too, where it was, if they knew they could win, they set the terms. There was no concessions there, or very little. You could say there's the least amount of concessions I could say that Rome ever had was like they didn't mind sometimes if other countries or people under them wanted to practice some kind of religion or whatnot, but unless it got in the way of doing business and paying your taxes and whatnot. But they always had that mentality of like, well, no, you're gonna do you're gonna concede to our demand, or we're gonna come in here with the army and just crush you all. And this mentality just feels exactly like that. So that's the thing we're going back with Harold, where he wanted to change, and he probably grew up learning that from his own father, whoever his father name would be, is Haruden and Loki's grandfather, and then he's like decided to change that. He wanted to end this and stop being a group of vandals and pillaging all this stuff, and like say, hey, we should, like, they can keep your warrior pride. See, there's a difference there too. There's a conversation to be had there about how these kind of warriors back then thought, we have to be warriors, but that also meant they had to be raid and pillage other places, where it's very different too in a way from when you look at pirates. When you think of the classic pirates from the Caribbean type thing from 300 years ago, they didn't really have like a warrior's pride. They just like, no, we're gonna look out after ourselves. And there was like a certain sometimes pacts or thing like that among the people on the ship, where they agreed to stuff, but like they weren't like these warriors like, oh, we work together. No, I'm saying that the wrong way. But anyways, it's very different in a way too. It's the warrior. This idea of being like a warrior, in a way, sometimes we often think of like modern military, where like you join you join a military force of your nation, and your duty is to like defend your people and your nation. And then, but like warriors back then had that. Plus, they thought, well, no, we could go out to sea and we got to make money for ourselves. More, they're making them a bit more like partially like mercenaries. So Kashi keeps going on, like, you guys never talked like this before. What's going on? Well, why are you thinking like that? Your head isn't, you're not thinking straight. And so this isn't working with the with Dorian Broggy. You can see clearly from our perspective that this is not going to work. But Kashi's still attempting this, and I keep thinking it's Onyo, right? I keep saying Dorian Broggy, but it's Kashi I'm talking about now. But anyways, as this other guy that we saw standing with Kashi, who's trying to like stand with him and support, like, stop the advance of, so to speak, of Dorian Broggy and the others, as they're getting closer, as the so Dorian Broggy, they don't like attack Kashi or these other guys who are still there, but they start going forward and heading toward. So that's right, they're on like, what was this, branch 8? This is that branch still near the West Village where the castle is, and where Jarl and where the Straw Hats and everyone were together before, and they're heading back toward. I think Dorian Broggy and everyone are, they're marching toward the village, and so as the giants are like walking past the demon giants now who got changed, are walking past the guy who was with Kashi here, this unnamed guy. You see him in a few panels, so you know it's the same guy. Suddenly the flames start, like these flames are like traveling with the demon giants, and then this other guy gets sucked in too, and we start seeing him get pulled in, and Kashi tries to save him, but it's too late. And his name is Thorman. Okay, there's his name. He's like, so him and Kashi know each other. He gets sucked in, and you see him getting flipped over, and this is where the board thing comes up. Let me see here. Did they show that before? I don't think they showed. Yeah, they definitely didn't show that before. So in this one, this is where the board from the Go game shows up. And Oda shows the symbolism here. So the Go game, I don't think I explained this, but for anyone who doesn't know, the basics of it, as I understand, is to try to put more pieces on the board and kind of expand the area of your, like, a territory on the board, and while creating like a conglomerate of the pieces together to try and prevent your opponent from taking up more pieces. And in that way, you're like, I don't know how much space you have to take in order to achieve victory, though. The closest thing I understand from this version of this is like Chinese checkers, which I don't know how much different or similar is off my top of my head, but I played that a lot as a kid with my sister, and you had like the 4 or 6 sides of it. It made it look like a pentagram, and you'd have your number of pieces, and you wanted to try and get your pieces across to another person's territory and try and fill up that space first in that way. That probably I imagine that's like a simplified version of this. I'll look into that later, but you can see here, yeah, it shows a Go board, and the guy's like, they start realizing this too. Don't get nearby them or you'll get like transformed. How do they show that? Yeah. They sit here in the last chapter. Don't stand between them if you get there. So it's exactly incorporating those rules, and it shows the board here, and it shows the black pieces. It shows about 8 of them here, and then that guy. So that's representing the Dorian Broggy and the others who've been transformed, and we see this guy named Thorman as a white piece, and he's like, oh, I'm trapped between them, and then they show both him as a piece, and then they show him flipping the way we saw before, and then you see him, and you can see Kashi as another piece there, and then you suddenly see the board again with Thorman being turned into a black piece now, and where is that? Yeah, so now we get a shot of the guy named Thorman, the giant named Thorman, and he's like the same way. Oh, this is amazing. I feel great. And then Kashi's like, no, Thorman, not you too. And at this point, yeah, now not one of them. Who's that? That's which one again? I keep getting the names mixed up. Dory at this point takes his trident and he swings it at Kashi and the others still there. And then Kashi's like, oh, this isn't working. And he orders a retreat. And he's like, yeah, let's get out of here. And we see him and a few others running away now because they know they can't like reason with them. And if they stay right where they are, they'll be forced into these subordinates of Eem as well. And so we switch. We show next we see Ripley, which we haven't seen in a bit, and I think she must be there. She probably must have been there with Kashi and the others. Yeah, that's right, because she was with them before, so she's there. Well, now we're seeing her from her perspective, and she's like, so she's retreating, and now I think she's looking at where the kids are going, because then she screams to her son, Colin, like, Colin, wait for me. Mommy's gonna come save you. And then we see her thinking too. Oh no, what about Mr. Ya? I wonder why they don't just say. Does she not know his name? Because that's her husband basically. But anyways, she's clearly like, oh my God, I heard he fell down. I hope he's okay, kind of thing. So her and the others are retreating now, and now we get to see the giant children again still together, and they're still walking together under the persuasion of So how did that work again? I said it was probably both Killingham, a combination of Killingham's power with, Gunko leading her arrow, leading where they go, and so it's like they're sleepwalking, but they still can hear because now they hear them saying they're thinking. I think it's showing that they're thinking about demons because they heard that some of our other people are being turned into demons, and so then you see some of them start dreaming about the demons. And now we get to see where these. I don't think they showed this before, but we see one of these nightmare holes. Well, no, he did bring this up in the last chapter, I think, when Eem was chastising Killingham, and he talked about the nightmare hole. So we see one. It's just a black pit in the ground, and we see this one in the forest, and you start seeing it's the stereotype demon look again, but now they're like the little imp looking ones. You see one crawling out of the ground with the pitchfork, and it's got the little horns, and it's just the evil grin, and more of them start popping out. And so then we go to Killingham, and he starts reviving his other one. So he's got this horn. I feel like I brought this horn up before. I find this funny though because I was thinking about because Elbaf is kind of like symbolism of a representative also of like Oda's taking inspiration from the Scandinavian mythology, and this guy's pulling out a horn, which is like Heimdall would do in Heimdall's supposed to do when Ragnarok's going to begin, but this guy's obviously not one of the giants. But so he pulls out a horn, blows it, and he's pulling back up some of those other things that were defeated by Dory Bragi and the others, and now as we start seeing the look, he's changed his look. So the other way we saw him before was what chapter was that? We saw him before as what must have been like his full, or maybe was that his hybrid? No, this is his hybrid form. Hold on a sec. Yeah, okay. They never showed before. I went back and looked at it. Was chapter 1143. He was shown. They mentioned it showed that he had the dragon flute Karen style, but they didn't mention. I don't know if I said that, but I guess I should have been surprised. That was probably more like his full dragon form, but he was still a humanoid while he's like anthropomorphic. I said that wrong, I think. But so he's here. This is him bringing the other nightmares back to life, and you see briefly he's changed his form here. And so we get a good shot of him now. He reminds me of one of those fishmen look though. What was that one? Who was that woman again? The one who predicted something. She was on Fishman Island, and she predicted the the demise of Fishman Island or something. He has to look like that because he's got these he's got, so he's human form. He's not really human. His face is in a human form, and he's got these shark teeth going on. He's got short, medium length dark hair, and he's got very like eyes with like that kind of evil, and it almost looks like eyeliner. And now he's like, the thing that really caught me off guard, and I didn't realize this was him, is that when he seemed pretty chill before, I guess you could say, when he was up until this point in the last 10 chapters, but now he's like all like excited and like he seems like filled with adrenaline. And I guess, and he starts like first he's like cheering, kind of cheering on or coaxing on his nightmare conjuring. He's like, "That's right, be reborn. That's Elbeth should not. Don't let Elbeth wake from this nightmare." And then he goes on like, with the great one here, it's time to let loose and finally and do this the right way. So he's this full shot of him. He's like gone into this he's got this man beast form. He's more. I guess this would be more like a hybrid almost. No, maybe the other one's considered a hybrid. But he looks like a centaur now. He's kept his human torso attached to a horse body, but now his face is changed back. Maybe this is a little different than a hybrid form. It calls it man beast. Maybe that's a little different than the other stuff they've shown before. And so he's getting all crazy and having fun now. Also, I like how I noticed how he calls Eam the Great One, and I think Summers did that too in the last one. So, so while this is happening, we go to the Straw Hats that are still tied up. Nami, Jinbei, Brook, Usopp, and Robin, and they're commenting on the situation because they're at a point that you can see in the background with more of the Conjuring nightmare. What do they call them? The night tides, the sleep tids. He calls them, and Nami starts by saying like, "Yeah, there are even more of them now. What's going on?" And Jinbei comments, "Yep, things are. Oh, they're looking pretty hairy here." And then Usopp, they all saw what happened to Dory and Bragi. He's like in like a flabbergasted kind of like that could happen to him. Like, Dory, Master Bragi, what are you doing? This is your homeland. Get a hold of yourselves. And it's just not working. It's on deaf ears as it does that. We go back to Bragi again with the flaming light, like his eyes have no pupils anymore, and now we switch over to some of the other giants who are sidelined here. These are ones who are near the children, and what happened here is some of these. It looks like someone have been knocked out from the Conkers hockey, but other ones they're commenting on. Oh, we can't stop the children. Now I understand why the others from the school weren't able to do anything either, like Saul. There's those those invisible thorns, isn't working. It stops us, and we get the voice of one of the mothers like trying to scream at them instead of seeing if they scream loud enough it would work. Like, wake up, Bent, Yelva! This is no time to be sleeping. This is serious. And then some of the others are just like, oh, we're coming to save you. Don't worry, we're coming. So now we go to Summers, and he talks to he's talking to I don't think we see him. We see like a little bubble. So the shot here is showing more of the sleep tids that Killingham's conjuring from their nightmares, walking like this army of them. So we got like some of these look like animals. Like there's the dragon thing again. One looks like an elephant. Oda looks like he basically drew Zunisha. Maybe that's like someone who, it's kind of Zunisha. And there's one of Fenrir again. And you can see Dorian Brog and the other giants who have been turned into the other side. And so Summers asked to Ym, how far shall we go on? How far are we going to go with this great one? And then we see Killingham comment, oh, this is looking pretty good. The playing board is entirely in our color. And so Ym answers Summers, they will eventually crumble under the weight of their own personal demons. Continue until it breaks. And we're getting other shots being as Gunko, Ym's talking through Gunko, and we see like other people, like we get some other the adult citizens like looking helplessly, like what do we do about this? And we see the kids again. We see Bragi or Dory again. Which one again? That's Dory this time. And Summer's like, until what breaks? And then Eames asks, and I feel like Eames probably saying this in a very calm manner. So like the heart of Elbath. This country would have been subjugated long years ago if not for Harold's miserable failure, which is also what Summers hinted at a while back. So he's being like break their spirit, I guess, so that the others will even if they like kill Jarl and that, he's probably trying to do this in a way to that there won't be any other resistance from the citizens, because you can see this from a strategic point where I think what Eames attempting to do then is to make them submit to him with a minimal loss of life. He wants to have Elbath as a military force to build up his thing of power, and so he's very much trying to scare them, I guess, and break them down, their spirit, their independence, so to speak, which is again a very imperialistic idea where he's like, this is mine. There was something here. Did we come up to that part where he said all of this should be mine? Maybe he said that in the last one, where he's got this idea that the whole world should be under our control. And in a sense, I think there was similar sentiments you could see if you study old empires of the past, and the stuff like if you look at stuff like maybe Rome or maybe the Achaemenid Persian ones, they probably would have kept going further and further if they could, but they were constrained by the limitations of their time with like having to traverse a whole empire by horseback, and there's no communication the way we have. And because I know there was something I read somewhere where like, because the Romans really respected Alexander the Great, there was something I read where one of them always had the dream to like try to traverse all the way to India the way Alexander did, but they never like got that far into the Middle East. The Roman Empire, they had control of Egypt and the area where Israel and other countries are nowadays, Jordan, Lebanon, but they like never broke into like where Iraq, Iran is. That was under the control of the Parthians at the time. Anyways, yeah, you can see that idea here that Eames like, well, this all should be mine, and so now he's like saying here too, oh, I'm going to make up for lost time. This country should have been mine 20 years ago, and now I'm going to make up for it. I'm no longer going to wait. I don't know why he didn't do this sooner with the Gods Knights. The timing of it is just a little funny to me. So that's the end of that, though, for this chapter. We go back finally to the Straw Hats in the underworld. Actually, we start, though, with Chopper and Scopper, and it goes, we start by seeing the Yggdrasil and seeing the underworld below, and the little time text comes up saying many minutes earlier in the underworld. And yeah, so Scopper's falling there, and Chopper jumped after him, and he just seems screaming. He's still in his beast form, because it's not his hybrid form. I forget what you call the word for those. And he is like, oh shoot, I didn't think this through. What am I gonna do now? And so Scopper's just passed out, and you still see the arrows pierce through him, and he's just falling there. Chopper and Scopper. Oh, great! This is gonna be. I gotta make sure I get that. And just so Chopper's like, all right, calm down. I gotta think this through, and we gotta try and save Scopper. So I thought a joke about this from a comment, probably from Tekking's videos, and it's like he was like, people were saying it would be cool if he knew how to use what do they call that? I call it airwalk. It's that ability the cipher pole. We first saw with the cipher pole agents, and then we know that other Marines can learn it. And Sanji's got the one too, where you skip across the sky basically. And someone was making a joke like, if Chopper learned to do that, he'd finally be like a flying reindeer with the motif associated with Santa Claus's reindeer. So what he does, it's kind of like that. We get the shot where like he's vertically still falling. But he starts going, he's running so fast, he got the little sonic spinning action going on. So he's trying to fall fast, speed himself up to go faster than Scopper, so that he can use guard point. He does it. He uses guard point and fluffs himself up so he can cushion Scopper's fall and make sure he doesn't get injured anymore. So now we go to the others. The others here, we got Hiruden's crew and Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro, and they we see that Loki and Hiruden are going back and forth, and so Hiruden's trying to get Loki to reveal the truth about what he hinted at about about killing their father, and Loki's just not giving in. He starts like, haha, you want those answers? You're gonna have to beg me for them, Hiruden. And Loki and Hiruden's like, you killed my father, Loki. And he's like, well, he was my father too. And Hiruden combats, well, that didn't stop you from killing him, did it? And then someone else breaks in. Who's the other ones here? We got Goldberg. Who was it? Stevison and what's her name? Gerd. One of them says, knock it off, Hiruden. You're not getting anywhere with him. So one of the Straw Hats says, wait, hey, Chopper just fell down from above. And the other's like, wait, really? I heard something. Did you see him? I think it's probably like they're sensing the hockey. So we get a panel here too with all the characters. Well, we don't see Gerd or Goldberg there. And then even Loki's like, yes, it seems like something did fall down from above. It was beyond the mountains. And Luffy's like, wait a minute. So it was Luffy that said there's Chopper. He's like, how did I know it's Chopper? So his hockey's getting much better. And it looks like he doesn't even realize that yet. He's like, oh, someone else is with them too. But they're very weak. It sounds like they got hurt. And we get Sanji and Zoro here. And Sanji's like, that sounds bad. We better, did they fall all the way down from the Sun World? And Zoro says, then we better search for them then. Hold on. I was getting their names. Yeah. So, the others, what's going on here? So they're preparing to like go look for Scopper and Chopper. And one of them says, who is that? Is that, I think that might be Sanji the way this reads. Like, hey, Gerd and Goldberg, you got anything on your wish list? Like someone's head or someone's jewels? I was thinking of Sanji because he's, still kissing up to Gerd and flirting with her or whatever. And Loki's like, yeah, I got something I need. And one of them says, no, Loki, we're not falling for that. We're not unlocking your cuffs still. And he's like, oh, damn it. So now we go back to this. This is something, the most interesting part here. There's this mysterious person that was talking to Loki, like this was about 15 chapters ago. And hold on it. Yeah, in chapter 10, 1134, this guy named Shaggy and him were talking, and I don't know if this form's supposed to be of someone we know, because it looks like to me when you look at the transponder stand when it shows this guy named Shaggy talking, he reminds me of like Jarl, like he could be like someone with a giant beard. Unless it's supposed to be because it's supposed to be a different transponder snail though, so maybe it's just furry. It says a cold resistant type, but the face of it gives me this like feeling of like this is someone who might be older with a great big beard type of thing, kind of like Jarl's is, like I said. And then there was a point in that conversation where they kept talking about Shaggy was telling Loki about some kind of traumatic incident in his past, something that, and then Loki was just saying, well, if I'd been in your place, I would raise that place to the ground and killed all those people of someone else that was involved in some incident here. So, the Shaggy guy calls in on Loki's transponder sound. Like, hello, Loki. And Loki's like, yeah, he scared me. Like, oh, Shaggy, I'm sorry. This is a bad time right now. So I'm wondering if this guy is someone else here. Yeah, it does look like that might be just a snail, which like like a big sheepdog almost. It looks hairy there. This is a better side. It looks like its shell's full of hair as well. And Shaggy says, "Oh, don't worry. I know this won't take very long. I'm actually kind of busy right now, anyways." And then Loki's like starting to whisper, like, "Okay, just keep your voice down." So he doesn't want the others to know he's been talking to him. But it looks like Gerd and the others catch on. Yeah, Gerd and Goldberg still can hear this. Like they probably like, why is he whispering to himself? So Shaggy goes on saying, "Oh, I wasn't able to tell you earlier, but I'm not going to be able to call you for quite a while. I'm going to be kind of busy here." And then Loki's like, What do you mean?" Uh, and so Shaggy's going on like, kind of thanking him. Well, he says, "At first I found this frightening, but the more that you and I talked, and your conversations with you have become a source of solace. So I wanted to express my gratitude." And he's like, "Wait, what's going on?" Uh, and so Loki's like, "Wait, are you in danger again? What's going on?" And so he's getting a little excited here. I imagine he must be raising his voice because the others come up and hear this. And well, not the other. Like I said, the others besides, it looks like only Goldberg and Stenson or Stevison are still here. And but anyway, Shaggy's like, don't worry, I'm fine." And he's like, Where are you?" And then the other guy doesn't answer. Shaggy doesn't answer. He's like, "Well, I just want to say thank you for everything." And then you can tell he's ready to hang up. And Loki's like, Wait, Shaggy, what?" And then there's a click, and that's it. And Loki's just like, "Damn it." And so Gerd walks up to Loki and is like, looks at him, and he's like, "What are you looking at?" And she's like, "Well, I'm just glad that I knew you had a friend to keep you company here in the lonely underworld." And he's just like, "Don't you dare tell anyone." So, okay. So the others went and they found. That's how this went. I thought they went over there. Okay. So they're bringing the Haruden and Luffy's group are coming back. They found Chopper and Scopper, and they come back, and Haruden's like, Gerd, get your supplies back out. Yeah, get your bag. There's someone who's badly, Mr. Ya's badly hurt. And then he's holding It looks like he's holding. Yeah, he's got Scopper, Chopper, and Luffy together on his hands. It looks like he's kind of holding his hands together, and it looks like Chopper already bandaged him up really good to help with some of the bleeding. Yeah, so they got the arrow things out. I should note too. And Luffy's like, this is the guy everyone loves, huh? Uh, no, he does. Everyone loves. He knows who he is. And he's like, "Wow, Chopper, you did a good job. I guess he's lucky you were there with him." So we get a little Chopper moment. So Luffy's, because Luffy's complimenting Chopper. He's like, "Oh, yes. I mean, you don't need to butter me up like that, you jerk." Still doing that. Cause I'm thinking about that now because we just had the live action teaser, and that's how he was. Chopper did that a lot in the pre-time skip era too, where like you give him a compliment and he's like, oh, he kind of got his little face and he's like dancing around. So we go to some minutes later, and now someone revealed to Luffy who he is. And this is something I can't get over sometimes, but I should. That how naive, or not naive, almost ignorant as Luffy is of knowing the names of other members of Roger's crew. Because he's like, wait, what? He's got the big eye pop himself. This guy was one of Roger's crew members? He sailed with Roger and Rayleigh? And someone says, yeah, he and Rayleigh were the two who were the right and left arm of the king of the pirates. I assume he was the third strongest on the crew. And Zoro's there, and he's like, so he's a big time pirate, huh? That explains why he's so tough. And Luffy's like, so that means he must know Shanks as well. And there's a funny moment here too, like, so Scopper's trying to talk, and the other's like, what's he trying to say? What is that? And he sticks his hands up like, I'm the second strongest, actually. And the other's like, what? That's what you're trying to say when you're this weak? So the others, who was that? Road or Haruden? One of them says, I think it's Road. "Oh, it's so good to see you're still okay, Mr. Ya. But how could this happen to you? Who did this?" So then Chopper jumps in like, "Oh, that's right. I gotta tell you, there's some big problems going on up there, guys. The Elbaf's in trouble." And then he goes going on. The children were taken hostage. No one's been able to stop these the instigators of this. And now there's giant monsters rampaging all over the place. And he keeps going on, and then suddenly he stops because there's like this giant conqueror's hockey exuding again. We see like a shot of Yggdrasil and the castle where the new giant pirates their base is there with all this hockey, and first his Scopper's like, "Oh, it's that hockey." So this is probably them feeling Eames hockey. So that makes me think too. Yeah, I was thinking about that a little bit the other day, and this kind of confirms it. I was wondering if Scopper knows the sensation of Eames hockey, because we're getting that similar thing with the key in Dragon Ball or spiritual pressure and like Bleach, where like the every person's hockey has an individual sensation or something like that that could be identified. We saw that too, like with that little girl from Skypiea and how she was sensing all the deaths of people that were dying in Enru's screwed up game, where he was having his subordinates fight the rebels from the tribe, the descendants of the Indian like tribe there, and she was like so upset, feeling all their deaths. So anyway, she probably could tell which people were which there, because she was some of those people were citizens of her tribe and stuff like that. So we see the reaction of other people, even Sanji and Zoro, like, whoa, they almost look a little scared, like, what the heck is that hockey? And it shows we see Stevison, Gertz, and Road as well, like, God, that is a horrible hockey. What the fuck is that? And so Haruden takes charge. Then he's like, all right, everyone, back on the lift. We're going back to the Sun World. Elbaf needs our help. And then we see Luffy here too, and even Luffy's got a little beads of sweat coming down, and Haruden as well. And they're like, "Okay, Chopper, it's okay. I get the idea." And that's the name of the chapter. Actually, I forgot to bring up. And the last person we get is Loki. He's like, "What preposterous hockey? Whose preposterous hockey is that?" And he starts laughing. "Looks like you're going to need me after all." Ha ha ha! He keeps laughing, and that's the end of the chapter. And that part was annoying me the most. I'm like, God damn it, I want to know what Loki can do. I know Oda's going to get us somehow, because like Loki's been going on and on like he's basically the sun god. And so it's going to be so great when Luffy transforms, because he hasn't had to turn into Gear 5 here. They brought it up, so like the other Dorian Bragi brought it up at the party, and they started giving their own versions. Other citizens were given versions of what they think about the sun god and stuff, but Loki seems to think he's the sun god. Of course, his version of it is that he's the guy who's gonna like take over the world type thing. Which this is very interesting too, because I'm wondering if there's some kind of parallel with what Loki thinks of himself versus what Eam is doing too, and how they're going to think that he's the one who has the like right to rule the world type thing and raise the world to the ground. And actually, that's a good point too. I don't know if I brought this up before, but the way Loki's acting versus Luffy is very interesting, because Luffy, or even if you compare to the original Joy Boy, I think Loki's taken too much into account that he has to follow some kind of fate instead of just wanting to do something for himself. And Luffy never follows that kind of stuff. He just does what is right. And I wonder if we'll see any like character development from Loki in this, and him thinking about, well, maybe what I was doing is wrong, and I should just find a path that I want to choose myself, just because it's what I want for myself. Where it feels more like Loki's wanting to do this stuff just to do it because it's his destiny, so to speak, and rather than what's the best thing to do. Either way. So, anyways, I really, really want to know what the freak Loki can do. So far, all we know is he has that cool hammer, which is basically Mjolnir, and he can wield lightning through it. And that's about it. Also, I don't know why, but when I was looking at him and thinking about him and Gerd, I'm just thinking if Loki ever turns out to be a good guy, I wonder if him and Gerd would get together, or if Gerd likes Haruden. I know it's like the last thing to be thinking about with a story like One Piece because Oda doesn't really go into that kind of stuff. But for some reason, I can't help but want to ship Loki and Gerd if Loki was the not such a douchebag anymore. Anyways, that's just a side thought I had here throughout this. So I hope to get to see more too of what the Stevenson and Goldberg can maybe do because we know now Goldberg has a that shield that's a homie that Big Mom turned into a homie from years ago, and he must have like inherited it from his dad. So that stuff as well. Um, yeah, so this was a good chapter. The most interesting thing to me too was I was caught off guard about how different Killingham was acting when he seemed so subdued earlier, and now he's just so like let's go on a rampage kind of mentality. He's kind of like leading the troops. He's like leading his sleep things around like he's a general now. So and also, I think looks like not Nami, Robin was unsuccessful in getting herself detangled from those things. You see that wide shot, the straw hat's all tied up still, and you can tell she's the one standing vertically. She was still standing out when Summers put the thing around his thorns around her to keep her from getting away. Um, uh, so yeah, this is gonna be good now. Now we're building up to the point now where we're gonna get the straw hats going up to the top. So now it's gonna be like, my first question is gonna be, will Eam try to turn like Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro into his subordinate? I have a feeling it's gonna happen a little bit. Like I feel like we're gonna possibly see like Road or Hiruden or Stevison, or if they all go up, whoever, how many of those go up. Maybe they'll all go up. Maybe Gerd, I feel like will probably stay down with Loki. That's probably what's gonna happen. At some point, the others, not everyone's gonna probably go up. Like I'm sure Loki's gonna be trapped there. Gerd's probably gonna stay and look after him. And when things are gonna look a little dire again, I bet Loki's gonna come out of nowhere in a few chapters, and then he's gonna show off his power and like, yeah, I'm here now. So I can't wait to see how they're gonna play this out. So this is so exciting. So holy crap. So the Go board thing too is interesting. I like how Oda's incorporating that kind of thing in here, and I just kind of wonder too why didn't Eam do this sooner, and what was the deal with Harold, of course. So that's all I got today. There's so many thoughts here, but I'm just gonna end this here and mull it over this week. And today I'm recording this on Wednesday, so hopefully the new chapter, the unofficial, releases in a couple of days to help figure this out. But I won't. Yeah, I'll get my next chapter. I'll get the next chapter out on either like probably Monday or so later. Uh, of course, because and I got some other short. I got a couple of shorts I gotta record later too for this stuff. What was the one I just had on that? Anyways, I'm just gonna start recording. Thanks for watching.